Hello, I'm Samantha Blackman.
And I'm Alicia Carabinas, and this is a special preview of Invisibility Blues, though not a totally accurate one.
With your campaign support, we can increase sound and production quality and create videos that are better than anything we've done in the past, including this one.
For the first video in our proposed series, we're discussing character generation engines, and we've decided to look first at Bungie's post-Halo franchise effort, Destiny. In Destiny, players can choose only between male and female characters and between human, awoken, and exo, sentient humanoid robots. In this preview, we're looking only at human and awoken. For each race and gender combo, there are 7 preset faces, and players can alter skin tone, lip color, eye color, hair color, and style.
The only other alteration players may make to the characters is the addition of, or not, a colored marking on the character's face. In this video, we look at these preset faces in terms of analyzing and coding for a breadth of representative racial features.
In many ways, it seems odd to have any game with customizable characters, fall back into what is in essence a set of preset character faces with no customization of body types or size or features, especially after games like Bethesda's Oblivion, now 9 years old, that allowed so much more in customization within races. While Oblivion may have limited customization between the races, something we'll talk about later with the Elder Scrolls, there were lots of room for playing with features, shapes, sizes, and positions, as well as scars, wrinkles, skin tone, and shading.
The human facial customization only includes 7 preset faces and head shapes, 9 skin tones, 18 lip shades, and 9 eye colors. It should, however, be noted that only one of the female presets had facial features that could definitely be coded as being of African descent, having a broad, flatter nose and fuller lips. While this might seem to be a lot at first blush, these limited choices feel just that. Limited when we compare them to games like Oblivion that work with these features on a sliding scale and offer what feels like an infinite number of choices to the player and allows not only for changes in facial but also body minutiae. While the Awoken are, according to lore, humans who ran to the edge of human-controlled space in order to escape the darkness and found themselves changed by their environment, that change seems to have affected not only their skin and eye color, but also facial structure. Because as a race, the Awoken are even more limited than their original human counterparts. While they have the same number of choices for facial presets, all 7 of the choices are similarly Anglo, though one of the proffered selections does have fuller lips.
The skin, lip, and hair color selections offer character variation and choice for both awoken and human characters, but there are limitations here too. First, there are problems with the application of some colors, particularly with lip colors on fuller lips. Though this seems like some features to be better integrated on the PS4, we shot our footage on the Xbox One where issues are present. As seen here, the fact that lip shading does not completely color fuller lips is a problem, and one that should be better addressed by dev teams across platforms. Hair, too, is different between systems with more natural texture on the PS4, but that's less of an issue than the actual selections available in hair type and texture here. While the dreadlocks look somewhat natural, particularly for non-Anglo characters, all of the other hair selections are very straight. So anyone looking to create, for instance, a black character with natural hair may be limited to a hairless style or dreadlocks. Beyond that, one must make the assumption that there's a very good salon in the tower, I guess.
Which leaves us to consider the final choice in selection. Facial markings. Facial markings were a great opportunity for the dev team to really deepen history or lore here, because as it is, these are just that, marks, decorations. They don't seem to mean anything at all. And there's an issue with that, because some of these marks look like generic, quote unquote, tribal face paint. And even that could have meant something if the narrative were to explore these races as lost races that have resorted to cultural appropriation as a means of redefining themselves. We see many such cases of cultural misappropriation in our own society. These people are in many ways rebuilding their culture and their very identities in Destiny. It makes sense that they would draw on collective memory and use old symbology to build new.
And that would have been a great addition. Unfortunately, there's none of that here. We have to hunt for such interpretations and lay them on the narrative as presented. No work was done within the lore to draw a lost people who are searching for meaning. As is, these markings seem to mean nothing, and so the only real conclusion we can draw is that they're supposed to just look cool, which could be fine, except
This becomes an issue because, absent any kind of actual racial, cultural, or honor based significance, the facial markings are reduced to being simultaneously purely decorative and culturally reductive to the peoples that they are modeled upon.
when we were first discussing games to cover in our exploration of character creation engines, Destiny was one of the first I thought of. I wanted to make sure that we had a game or two that we felt good about, because so many engines are lacking when it comes to race. And I remember Destiny as having included more than just European features. Somehow I built it up in my mind as this very diverse engine, but when we went back in to study it, turns out that wasn't quite the case. There's something worth considering there regarding how perceptions are created. Often the first face selected by the engine will be face number 1 with a darker skin tone, a face that has features frequently coded as belonging to folks in the African diaspora. And while there's a certain amount of diversity promotion in considering the default selection may have African features, the reality is that the selection in terms of non-Caucasian features is a lot more limited than I had thought. There's a lot of discussion, academic and non, about majority groups' perceptions of minority numbers and treatment, such as a study out of UNC about men's perceptions of women's advancement and promotion in companies versus the reality of numbers. And I wonder if something like that is at play here. There are some minority features, so as a white woman, I just assumed it was closer to equal when that wasn't in fact the case.
There's so much more to unpack with this game and others, but to get into that, we've got to make this series happen. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook to keep up with campaign and series updates. Thanks so much for all the support that you've shown us thus far, and as always, my friends, game on.